we talk about the first theory, Arabic trinity, اللات العزة ومنات. It's enough to do debate, to ask the question and to show the axiom. But I will say it or explain or say it about the axiom, what axiom say, to make it in your subconscious when you will discuss in the future. اللات والعزة, premise and consequence. Premise, they say, invisible creator has the same nature of the three visible person, his daughter. And the consequence is three visible gods, persons or idol, his daughter, you can see and worship them. To prove the contradiction between promise and axiom, we have 6 questions. We will take the first one. The first one is, are those gods in your material world? You can see them, so they obligate under the material world rules? The answer is yes. Why? Because we see them and we have a picture of them, and this Al-Uzza has a very beautiful cat. See? Yes. And that contradicts the axiom number 5. Why? Because if the God you can see in your material world, that means he obligates under the universal rules, our universal rules, and that contradicts the fifth axiom. Fifth axiom say the creator we couldn't see in our material realm and doesn't obligate under its universal rules. We gave an example there about the sun, and they worship the sun because the sun has a specific nature, and the sun no one can share its species, but we couldn't accept it as the Lord. Why? Because we can see in our material realm and it obligates under our universal rules, so we couldn't accept it. We have in the Quran a story about two queens, or one queen and one king. Bilqis was a Saba queen, and Sulaiman was a king who worshipped the Lord. The queen worshipped the sun. The bird came to the Sulaiman. Sulaiman has a special attribute to talk and to listen to the animals. And the bird said to Sulaiman, I saw one woman, one queen, who worshipped the sun. And the proof here, Sulaiman said, how they could worship Allah, and Allah who bring everything's hidden in the heaven and earth. Now everything or cancel and reveal. Allah, the Lord, He is the Lord of the mighty throne. And then, yes. And then in the end of the story, the Saba queen surround to our Lord and get Islam. Islam, as I mentioned before, it's full submission to the Lord. That means Islam. Why? Because she saw very special force when Sulaiman get his throne in fraction of a second, and he saw the very special force. He didn't see that before, so she knew that there is the Lord who has very special power and who can give this power to the messengers. Yes, but the proof here, when Suleiman said, the Lord Allah is the Lord of the mighty, the Lord of the mighty what? The Lord of the mighty throne. What does that mean? That means the Lord is out of the material realm, out of the material world. That means Allah couldn't see in our material world, because the throne, mighty throne, is the over of the heaven, and Allah is the over of the throne. Yes, He mentioned that mean before. Yes. The second question: do you mean that those three people, daughter, has the same nature, the same God's nature? He has to answer yes or no. If he answered yes, he contradicts the axiom number 2. Why? Because axiom number 2 say every creature has a specific nature, and Allah, or our Lord or Creator, has a specific nature. So if the multiple 3 person, so required for specific nature, everyone, because I have a specific nature, you have specific nature, and he has specific nature. So we are 3 have a specific nature, and we have 3 specific nature, a different nature. Yes. If he answered no, I mean every person has a specific person, then he will contradict the axiom number 4. The axiom number 4 obligate under wheel of the first one. The axiom number 4 says, the first creator doesn't accept having the same spaces. Why? Parts or something like that, because it's lead to the limited chain will stop at the first one. So it related the creator, the creature, but it that it's not, yes, it's not related the creator, because it means obligate under will of the first one. Yes. Why? Because if we have four person with nature different, we can distinguish between them, then the 3-1 will obligate under the first one. Yes. If he answers yes, but he doesn't accept the axiom number 2, so you will answer him the question 3 and 4. The question 3, how they get the nature. Those 3 daughters, how they get the nature. Okay, we have two options here. The first option, if the 3 person have not any specific nature, so the God nature will incarnate in those persons or address in it. Yes. Okay. But if those persons have a specific nature, what does it mean? Or what does it mean? That means the God nature will get in one union with the old nature. Okay. These two options contradict the axiom number 3. The axiom number 3 said, and means change obligate under needs. Change, why change? Change because God nature changes from old one to new one, and obligate under needs because the die local needs the nature to be alive, and the nature needs the die local to perform whatever he wants, or whatever it wants. Yes. Okay. So in two options, obligate under needs or obligate under changes. Axiom number 3 say one creator as one substance with a nature specific attributes, but it doesn't separate from, doesn't distinguish or share his nature with others. The question number 4, how they exist and who is the first one? If you said that those 3 daughters have the same nature, the question is how they exist and who is the first one? He will answer they exist at the same time, and then he will contradict the axiom number 4. Why? Because multi-person required to be created, or required for to be created. Why? Because when you say it, at the same time, you couldn't say at the same time. Why? Because axiom number 4 say if there is multiple person with the same species, that means we have limited chain to stop at the first one. When you will say no, it will be at the same time. So you contradict the universal witnesses. Universal witnesses, you see you and your father and your grandfather, and then to stop at the first one. Yes, and we explained this axiom before. Yes. So if you say it at the same time, you contradict the axiom number 4, because multi-person requires for to be limited chain. You couldn't say at the same time. Yes. The question number 5. Listen. Those the question number 1, 2, 3, 4 related something between the invisible God and visible person in this life. But the question number 5, 6, 7, it's specific. So, the question number 7, it's about something about the invisible God. 7 or 6 of 7, yes. It's a question about the visible God, as they say. Yes. So, the question number 6. 6 or 5? 5. Is the invisible God self-standing, self-sufficient, independent? If he answers no, so he contradicts the axiom number 1. If he answers yes, so he contradicts the axiom number 1 also. Why? The axiom number 1 say that our God is a self-standing, self-sufficient, everything need to be supported by him, but he doesn't obligate under any needs. If you say the invisible God is not self-standing, so he will be possible existence, and possible existence, he is not creator. Possible existence who is needs other, and we doesn't accept it as a creator, because the creator doesn't need other, doesn't need anything. Yes. If he said yes, I said that the invisible God, self-sufficient and self-standing, independent. So we say, why you say he is the fall apart? Because if he fall apart, that means he is not self-standing. So if you agree with this, so you, by your promises, contradict the axiom number 1 also. Yes. The question number 6. How could you identify the invisible God? And 7. How could you identify those 3 gods? Yes. 6. How could you identify the invisible God? He will answer, he is a spirit, couldn't do anything unless it incarnates in the 3 bodies or bodies. So he contradicts the axiom number 1 and 3. Why? Number 1, because he needs other, and he is not necessary existence, he is possible existence. Number 3, he obligates under needs also, because he will incarnate or get in one union or as we mentioned before. Okay. If he answered no, I say, I identify the invisible God as the independence, essence, substance, and nature, and he is full distinct from those three person daughter. So we will say you contradict the axiom number 1 and 4. Why? 1, because he needs other person to govern his kingdom, and that's necessary existence. Number 4, because multiple required for created and limited chain to be the first one. So you say there is 4 gods, 4 creator. So this multiple needs or required for limited chain to be the first one is the Lord or God. Yes. Now the final question. How could you identify those 3 gods? He will say, daughter of God, who died, mortal God, or mortal. They are not immortal God. They mortal God because they die. He will say no. They idol or stone could it speak or perform anything? He will answer, could it defend themselves when Mecca obligate under Islam? Those 3 answers contradict the axiom number 1. Why? Because, as we mentioned before, God, the creator, the prime mover, must be necessary existence. Necessary existence means it's self-sufficient, self-standing, independence. So, if he couldn't, if he died, if the visible gods die, or couldn't defend themselves, or couldn't talk or perform, or etc. and so on. So they are not necessary existence. Those are possible existence. Now you will see. If you say, listen, if you say that our God is not self-standing, is not self-sufficient, he needs other. So you can accept any God to be God. First, if you say yes, the Creator can see in our material realm and obligate under our universal rules. That means the sun could be the God, the moon could be God, star could be God. Yes. 3. If you say that our God or the Creator have parts or some parts in our world, material world, and he could incarnate in it and separate from it, and he has 3 local, 4 local, and he can change between them and etc. So you can see, anyone can see the law incarnate in me. They said that before, or etc. If you say yes, God has could have multiple species, that means atheists have right because species. If you say species in God and species in the Creator. So there is the species in the God and the species in the Creator, and there is no special, nothing special to you, Lord. Yes. So listen, if you say that those axioms, 5 axioms, or contradict 5 axioms, so you will not worship our Lord. You worship, what do you say? What do you worship? What do you worship? You worship Satan, because our Lord have a specific attributes and nature, and no one can share those attributes with him.